Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well in the aftermath of yesterday's 4/4 portal and the full moon. I have been MIA for the past week and a half, and I've had this message coming through for the past week, and I haven't been able to make it on here to record, and I really am very tight on time today, so this probably will be done in parts. So a part 1 and a part 2. So this is part 1 of a 2-part reading, and I'm going to kind of jump right into the downloads. I don't think I'll be pulling cards in this one. I might in the second half. Okay, so welcome. My name is Solara. Welcome if you're visiting for the first time. Welcome if you are a subscriber or you're returning. Thank you for all of your love and your support. I hope you guys are doing very well. Okay. Let's just get into the message. So this message came through, I want to say at this point about 8 or 9 days ago, and I finally, when I didn't get the chance to sit down and record it, I posted some of what I was hearing on my threads, on my Instagram threads. So if you're over there and you're joining me here, maybe you got a certain part of that message, but after meeting with a client this weekend, it made it all the more clear to me that I needed to kind of get on this message and to get it out, because it's clearly for quite a few people at this time. So before I get into the message, I just want to say that this is around contracts, right? This is very specifically to do with contracts with your father, okay? Father figure, paternal line even, but really it was coming in for me as a story with a father. And I want to preface the downloads by saying this full moon in Libra that we've just come out of has really been about the dissolution of a lot of these karmic contracts where they wouldn't relinquish your energy. Okay, so I haven't gotten around to doing the full moon in Libra Tarotstrology report as of time of recording, but I will be sitting down to do it today because these energies have been very intense, especially for those of you who have found yourself fighting consistently against these fucking beings and their contracts because they won't let go of your energy, even though the contracts were technically expired in 2022. And in all frankness, opportunities were given for them to come into alignment with the divine contract that you could have had with them, but a lot of them chose to continue to hold on to your energy and the karmic story, and they've refused to relinquish it. And this full moon in Libra has really been about kind of getting people's tenterhooks, not even just people, beings, entities, corporations, their tenterhooks out of us as individuals and as a collective. And this is even why there's so much exposure going on right now about the luxury goods market. It's a wake-up call for people who have put so much of their value into what it is they wear and how it is they look and what bag they carry and all this other shit that never amounted to much, to the point where they would harm themselves as well as other beings in order to live in a way that was completely an illusion. So let that illusion and those masks continue to fall. And of course, some people are returning to using it as an excuse to become even bigger consumers, and those ones, let them stay in the timelines allotted for them. But for many, this is a wake-up call about where they've been placing their value. And if you've been rolling with me for a while, this is my second channel on YouTube. But even years ago, when I first began my offerings, I would say to people, I would say to clients, like, it's so much more important to invest in yourself and your healing journey than it is on anything that you're going to put on your body in order to flex. So if you are willing to spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars or pounds or whatever it is on a fucking bag that loses its value the minute you purchase it and was never really that value to begin with, it was fake, right? But you're not willing to invest that same amount into your healing journey, then there's something wrong with your value system and the way you view your worth. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so your father made a vow in another lifetime that if he was allowed to be your father in this lifetime, he would make amends and look after you for what it was that he did. Now, in another lifetime, he may or may not have been your father, take it as it resonates. He could have been a guardian, a lover, a friend, it really doesn't matter. Either way, in this particular soul contract you had with your father or father figure, it was based upon him calling you in to make amends for something that he realized that he needed to make amends for, from not just the lifetime before this one, but it's a thread of events that have brought you two together across timelines and incarnations. And for many of you, this was this being who is now your father in this lifetime had trapped you or had imprisoned you in some way for the sole purpose of energy harvesting. Okay, so this being, before entering onto these earth planes again, and before forgetting who they actually are on a soul level, they made a vow that in this lifetime, if they were allowed to be your father, they would make amends for every other lifetime where they'd screwed you over by keeping you trapped and in prison. They vowed that they would take on the father role of protecting you, because what is a greater role of protection than that comes through fatherhood? Okay, now remember, I just said when we come through the veil of amnesia and forgetfulness, we're kind of on our own in this false matrix, and we make decisions based upon our own frequency, our own consciousness, our own true heart's desire and heart's intent. So you can wish all you want to do something, but if your soul isn't properly aligned and you come in and you forget, it's very difficult, right? But either way, at every turn, you were there to help remind him just by your presence of what it was that he owed you, but he didn't fulfill his own vow. Now, I want to preface this by saying, because some people will say, but karma goes both ways, etc., etc. And absolutely, yes, it does, except a lot of the time when parents, especially in this lifetime cycle, because we were coming through the end of many ages ending at once. In this lifetime cycle, the role of parents specifically, a lot of you were born to parents who owed you something karmically. And that is the reason you came, because the way that karma works, or the way it's been explained to me, you don't have to agree with me, right? But the way it's been explained to me in terms of how parental and child contracts work is a child's contract to their parents is simply by existing. Your existence, your energy is a bank that they get access to just by being your parents, and they get access to it in order to ascend, in order to evolve, in order to be better and to do right for their own soul contract. So your mere existence fulfills that contract. Now later on in life, when you become you get older, then you move past the age of innocence, right? Then you can begin to accrue karma in those relationships. But up until then, your only job as a child is to exist. And their job is to fulfill their contract to you, not in accordance with what the false matrix tells them to do, clothe you, send you to school, and all that other stuff. Like, these things are important too, don't get me wrong, right? But their main contract to you is to help you so that when you move out of the age of innocence, when you're no longer under their energetic guardianship, that you can go out into the world and shine and be who you came here to be. But for many of you, and if this message is resonating with you, you were never, not only were you never given that, but at every turn as children, your ability to rise into your power and your truth was thwarted, and it was thwarted under the guardianship and the supposed protection of this father. Now, what I got here is that he didn't fulfill his own vow. His vow to himself really is what it comes down to. And the same beings who got between you in that lifetime where he fucked you over royally, they thwarted him in this one too, and he succumbed in his weakness. So for all of you, this is going to be different. But if this is your message when it has to do with the relationship with your father, you think about those beings that have always come in between you and him and your ability to come into cohesion or into agreement. Okay, because this relationship with your dad, it is karmic in nature. But what I'm picking up also is that this was a contract where there was the opportunity, where he was being shown, where there were times where he was even awakening and seeing, but his involvement with other beings, as is often the case, unfortunately, with the thwarting of divine masculinity, his involvement with other beings and his own ego, a lot of the time, his own fear, his own need to show up and to be something to someone else other than to you, is what took him under. And in that, he allowed for you to be harmed. He allowed for you to be harmed in a myriad of ways. Definitely mentally, emotionally. He had already opened you up spiritually in other timelines. And for some of you, he allowed you to be harmed physically too. He was supposed to be your chief protector and show you the standard of love and behavior you should accept from others, in allowing you to be violated, in turning a blind eye to your pain, whether directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously, or even because of his absence. He reopened the very abuse timelines from another lifetime that he himself had been asking to seal shut on your behalf in this lifetime. Now, you should know this father that I'm picking up on, he may be alive or he may be dead. Because a lot of the time when the dead die with unfinished business and they have this deep, like, emotional longing or desire, and it's tethered to a person, they keep on pulling at your energy. So this person is remorseful, whether they're alive or not. And the truth is, if they're dead, it might even be more of a pull. Okay, so because there's no resolution in death, right? So he's clinging in your energy. There's no resolution in death if you die in a certain state, right? And you have reneged on your own soul contracts. So this being, this father, he's clinging in your energy, wanting something from you that he never earned. Never earned. Okay, so he's overrun with, if he's alive, and when he was alive, if he's passed, he is or was overrun with connections to entities that are a direct result of his own self-betrayal. And so the guidance that's coming through for this is that you need to continually remove, not just cut, continually remove all cording to him and call in your power and your updated contracts and records. Because understand and overstand, when you have a father or a mother figure that is clinging to your energy, this is where it begins to show. Okay, if you are, I'm going to use a heterosexual person as an example, right? But let's say you're a woman, right? And you are interested in men. And you keep on having failed relationship after failed relationship with men. Right? And in culture speak, we call that dealing with the father wound. But the father wound runs spiritually. Everything begins in the invisible. Everything begins in the spirit before it even can begin to become an issue in your mental and emotional planes, and even long before it can begin to materialize in your choices. So the root of the issue is always going to be spiritual. So, for women with this kind of energy in their fields, what you might find is a few things. You can't have a stable relationship with men in your life, whether it's a boyfriend, partner, husband. You find it very difficult to have genuine, stable relationships with other men. Your relationship with your own divine masculine internally is fucked. You might have an issue or problems with taking action and being confident and showing up in the world and getting things done and standing on business. You may have problems with all of that stuff. You may have problems with carry through. All of these things that your masculine energy is designed to help you to enforce. You might have, especially, you might be really creative and tuned into your divine feminine wisdom, but unable to monetize it and do all of those things. That can be a father wound, right? When the energy is like your mother courting you, then a lot of the time that's a miscarrying energy. That's inability to create on your own terms, an inability to birth. For some of you, even that, miscarrying children, or not being able to bring projects to fruition, or having projects like suddenly die. That's a mother holding on to your energy a lot of the time, right? Because that's a thwarting of your divine feminine channels. So, just so you know, you are free. You are free to cut the cord and to remove the cord. You are under no obligation. Okay, you are under no obligation. Don't let sentiment or him or his wayward ancestors, because this is all connected to this wayward ancestor energy, these ancestral entities that have been taking over bloodlines and targeting high frequency beings through other beings in those bloodlines, tempting them into contracts with covens, societies, orders, corporations, institutions, in order to have direct access to your energy, right? So this is like also realizing that this is connected to the ancestral entities of your bloodline that were wayward ancestors, because they never chose to heal. Instead, they chose to continue to do the same fuck shit of sacrificing others in order to get ahead. And they have no real remorse in death. Some of them don't. This is why not all your ancestors are ones you should be opening your energy up to. And in fact, I tell a lot of people, I don't consider my ancestors really to be of blood relation. I'm a primordial being. My ancestors are the rocks. It's the sky. It's the sun. It's the planets. It's the animals. Because many of us were born into bloodlines only because we were tethered energetically and had no choice but to come through into those bloodlines. So they're not your people. They're not your people. And so, like, I just did a decree about this very specifically, relinquishing you from the ties and the contracts where you have risen into being a generational curse breaker for a bloodline that actually isn't your own. It is in material reality, but you're in that bloodline because you were contracted and binded into incarnating into that bloodline if you wanted to come back onto the earth to fulfill your purpose here, because of the fuckery around the false matrix and all the ways they try to deprive us of our divinity if we wanted to be here. So many of you, like many of us, we walked around proudly with that generational curse breaker moniker. And like I said, it served its purpose for a time because it had to wake you up to remind you of your sheer power. But at this stage of the game, if you are vibing with me and you're listening to this message, you are not here to break curses for anyone but yourself and your true legacy holders. And oftentimes those true legacy holders have nothing to do with the bloodline that you have descended from. Now, it may have to do with your children, but even some of you, your true legacy holders aren't your children. Take it as it resonates. You know your own story, right? But there's a lot of fuckery that occurs for people to enter into the matrix. A lot of wormhole jumping, portal shifting, contract eliminating bullshit that's designed to put beings together in families that are complete enemies. And this is what you're dealing with in this lifetime because it's reached a zenith point. And understand and overstand, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because what it meant was also the opportunity for these very karmic contracts from previous lifetimes for everyone to come into a place of rising out of the fuck shit and coming into the divine template instead of continually harvesting other people. But that wasn't the case for many. They're still playing that game. Up until the finish, they've been playing that game. Even with the contracts having been nullified and voided for this new age and these new earth timelines. As of 2022, they've still been trying the fuck shit to hold on to your energy and to bind you in all kinds of invisible ways where you have to do the work to figure out, why is this still happening in my material reality? Because like I said before, if it's materializing, it's because it's first in the spirit. So it's time to remove cords entirely, to call your power back and to update your records. Okay? And to not allow sentiment or the title of generational curse breaker or these wayward ancestors to continue to pull on your energy. That is your energy for the creation of your new earth legacy and your new earth timelines. And they were out of fucking order from the moment they began to siphon you many lifetimes ago. And they're definitely now out of order now that the earth is no longer underneath the constraints of the false matrix fuckery. They are beyond out of order when it comes to cosmological law. And everything right now is going to make you feel like you're fighting a losing battle, and that is that energy still trying to hold on to you and to deceive you. Don't allow for it to do so. Don't allow for it to do so. You call your power back, and even if you're not able to yet hold on to it and integrate it, you call it back and you put it in a special place under your soul authority for your keeping for such a time as when you are ready to integrate it fully into your fields. But don't you let any of these fuckers, individual beings, but specifically entities and these fucking corporations, don't let them hold on to your shit anymore. That shit is yours. It's past due to you. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do a part 2 because I don't know, maybe I'll do some cards or something, but we'll see. I got the message out. I said what needed to be said. As you can see, I'm fired up about it. I am fired up about it because I don't like it when people, steal from other beings and take away their opportunity to thrive, just to thrive. And thriving is like to be able to live life happily. Like many of you who this fuck shit has been happening to, you have no desire to be tyrants or to be super rich and to suppress other people in that. You just have a desire to live peacefully in your own life and from that place. And you have every right. That's your fucking birthright. And I've had enough of this. So anyway, I have that. I will put the information for that decree for breaking the ancestral contracts, and dealing with these bloodlines, what I was generational curse breaker stuff, what I was talking about in this reading. I will put it in the description box below. I am getting ready also to release the audio version of that on Ko-Fi, and I've just completed another decree that will be coming out also, and if it's done by the time of recording and publishing, I will put the link for that in the description box below. All my decrees are free because I do desire to see everyone liberated into their truth. But please do realize that if you are able to give, it really does help because I put a lot in the work I do for the collective. Whether you see me or whether I'm behind the scenes, I'm working. So if you're able to contribute, that would be really helpful. The reason I make them free is because I know so many people have severe money blocks, right? And I don't expect people with severe money blocks to give to me at this point. But if you're able to give, then please realize you're not just contributing, you're contributing to my ability to do the work that I'm here to do for the collective too. And I appreciate all of the ways you guys contribute. I really do. I really do. Okay, so I will be doing a group this week and another Tarotstrology group, the Lilith and Scorpio energy. We will be looking at Lilith in your sign and diving into that a little bit more because the Lilith and Scorpio energy is here to help you take back your power and what is yours. Okay, so that Lilith energy in your chart is going to be activated in different ways right now, and it's important that you know how to wield the power of that. So there will be as of now, I think there's one place already taken, so there might only be 3 places left. But I will put the information for that in the description box below too. I also have, I think, one more place for a 60-minute soul recovery at the 30% discount rate for this month. So I discounted a few seats for soul recovery this month, and all of them have sold out, I think, except for one. So if you want to get in on that final appointment, I'll put the link for that also below. And if you get that last appointment, I have availability to meet with you. Well, I have some availability this week, but I definitely have availability for next week. Okay, so I'm sending you all love. I'll be back again soon. I have so many more downloads. I just haven't had the time to get here and do it, but I'm looking forward to doing some more. And yeah, stand in your power, because right now there's a lot of things that want to pull you off of your throne, and that's always the case. But because we're dealing with a full moon that has to do with letting go of these contracts where the enemies have also become known at this point, it's been real, you know. So and not to mention, we're closing out a lunar cycle that began with the new moon in Libra that I think happened on the 2nd of October last year. And that month of October, the first few weeks, there were like back-to-back X-class solar flares, sometimes 2 or 3 in a day, if I remember correctly. So there was a lot of shifting happening back then. And so the completion of what that was trying to accomplish is coming through now also, which is why the energy is so, tense. But I've got to go. I'm sending you guys love, and I will see you again soon. Take care.